Welcome to Politica Show on Lions Wire. Today is September 2nd, 2024, and our guest is Ilya Levkov, political scientist, renowned publisher, founder of Liberty Publishing House. Welcome to the show, Ilya.
Thank you for inviting me.
Ilya,
we could promise that very soon we'll have several other people, not just me. So you will have various opinion, people that are more professional, economists, teachers.
we'll talk about economics, geopolitics and its connection.
Yeah, well, what they call it, geo and politics, yes, sometimes. So,
Ilyusha, the last,
September,
you go, you start off.
I would just historically, what date most of the war started?
Do you mean in Israel or in particular or in general?
European wars.
I don't know. No.
September 1st. That is, people send the kids to school and they start the war.
All right. I wasn't aware that September 1st is known for that, but okay, something to look up.
So just relaxing. I hope everybody got waiting. So there are two issues today. Of course, it is. I will begin with what happens in Israel and the long, not the interview, but press conference that Bibi Netanyahu gave to the nation and answered questions of 4, 5, 6 Israeli TV stations, one newspaper, Makor Rishon, it's a weekly, and also French, that was the French, also posed the question, and Bibi tried to answer in French, but it didn't work. He said, let me go back to English. So this is the general atmosphere. Why was this press conference today? Because the Israelis are a little bit crazy. Now, there are two concepts of craziness, The matter of fact, one of them is implemented daily by the IDF. Can you imagine what could be connected between IDF and craziness? I'll help you guys. It's a song. It's a song that actually once was used in one of the less known Israeli movies, and it says, I am crazy, and it repeats itself. Ani mishuga. That is, I am crazy, and the connotation is, be careful. I'm just crazy. You don't imagine what I can do. And this was actually a strategy. Well, it was not state strategy, but it was advice. This is what Israel should play on the international arena. Hold me, like in a bar brawl, hold me because I'm going to kill him. Then they will respect Israel. Meanwhile, when the Israel has to wait for an attack, reply, and the world public opinion is never in love with Israel for the last 2,000 years. So it was not a practical. So today in Israel, they sing and they become ecstatic and they repeat the same song, the same sentence, which is actually there were many songs when I came to Israel in the late 56. And we sang every evening. We had this kind of evening of bonding and they sang songs, and I realized suddenly it's one-line song. One was, let's say, those were lines from the Bible. David Melech Israel, Chai Chai
Okay,
V'Kayam.
yeah.
Simple. David, the king of Israel, is alive and well. So, and they repeated it. So one sentence, songs in Israel, it's not something new. There are numerous of those. I don't want to say, uh, to quote, because maybe our listeners are not that well familiar with various chapters of the Bible. So, what happened today? Happened today because yesterday was a crazy day in Israel. Suddenly, huge demonstration. And what happened? Why there were suddenly those huge demonstrations? I'll tell you the answer and then the question. It was a dirty trick by the Minister of Defense and the spokesman by the IDF. What did they do so terrible against the government? They did the following thing. They said that those 6 hostages were killed 2 days ago. Rather innocuous, innocent statement. However, it has an error and it has a poisonous, uh, a poisonous, a poisonous arrow, i.e., they didn't have the medical staff on the front line in order to make the exhumation and analytically and medically define when were they murdered. By the way, they were murdered by a shot in the back of their head. It's the execution style. It was used by the KGB for years. It was used by the Nazis. You know, this is execution. You bring somebody, let's say he goes down the stairs, the guy puts a bullet in their head, and nothing, and done. He doesn't shout, doesn't protest, doesn't. Now, why did they do this? They wanted to apply subliminal and not so subliminal pressure on the government. That is, it 2 days ago they were alive. If we just would have traded, they would have been with us today. Do you understand? This kind, it's like fill in a room with gas or with benzene, it's saturated, it's ready to explode in flames, which what has happened yesterday in Israel. Suddenly, it was not pronounced, but it was so obvious that the army, without a professional analysis exactly when were they, if it's 3 days ago, or 4 days, or 5, or 6, it was not defined in medical terms, but in the public square, it was just 2 days they were alive. So whoever killed them, and this is a Hamas, they not a word against them. The entire thing was against the government of Israel, because many people, they simply set to castigate evilness of the Israeli government. I spoke with two people. One of them is three, actually. One of them is simply doesn't read too much. He's tired, but he hates Bibi, and he knows that if Bibi is gone, there will be heaven on earth, or at least in Israel. The other person is a mild, economists, top economists, who understand this, who understand also. I was surprised because I spoken to him before, and because we are relatives, so I didn't press him ever, uh, ever into a debate. But I did. I send them from time to time historical articles or interview which analyze. It's a pity it's only in Hebrew, but maybe those programs might become in the future in English as well. I will look into this, see to what extent I could be of help. Now, the point that he understands the entire heavy load that is on the Prime Minister of Israel today, because he has to maneuver a lot. And today we just heard, said today and yesterday, from Kamala and from President Biden. Today, President Biden, when he returned finally to the White House after his sunbathing in California and Rehoboth Beach in Delaware, he gave one word. Prime Minister Netanyahu didn't do enough. And why is it important and why is it false and why is it? Without going into all the plans from April, May, just the last 3 weeks, 2 weeks of August, there were 3 proposals and all of them were accepted by Israel. That is proposal by the United States and accepted by Israel. None of them, as previous, all of those from April and May, I don't want to go into details, were accepted by Israel. So Hamas, in a way, ignored the results and suggestion of the United States. United States, instead of telling them, all right, you know what, you are not cooperating, I wash my hands off and I'm not dealing more with the Middle East. But they know, Hamas knows that Biden wants to be the president that gave the final, the most real push for the creation of the second state, i.e. the Palestinian state. It's in his DNA, as it is in the DNA of Kamala Harris. So today, barely dragging his feet, he came and he said to reporters, Bibi didn't do enough. It is he accused publicly Israel in the moment when Hamas murdered 6 Israelis and 1 Israeli American citizen. Finally, he says at this moment publicly Israel didn't do enough. Accepted all his proposals, and even the last one, it was just 3 days before, was loudly praised by Deputy CIA, said Israel complied and accepted all our points, you know. Yeah. So there is some points that Israel will never accept, never, i.e. to leave the Philadelphia, the border between Gaza and Sinai, Egyptian Sinai, because this will allow them free escape. It allows free delivery of ammunitions, and it will resurrect the military and their terrorist actions. Now, this was said, United States accepted it, but Hamas did not. So at this point, it was like a grenade against your friend and an ally. and not for the first time, as I told you in his first speech in October 7, when he spoke from the White House. Go to the White House site and reread his speech, where he says, there, an hour when the dead people are still lying around along the Gaza border, said yes, the solution should include the establishment of the Palestinian
State. And you're referring to the government website, whitehouse.gov, I think.
Yes.
Right?
So, why does he insist? And by the way, those, it's in a way a state secret. The clash with Israel of providing ammunition, it's not only those 950-pound bombs, because they said, oh, such bombs, you inevitably will harm citizens of Gaza. No, because there are many other form of weapons that United States provides, Israel provides, sells, and which were not and being right now not being delivered. It's invisible pressure because you don't know, when the Israelis will agree that they will deliver such and such ammunition in such and such quantities. You cannot declare it publicly, but it is a problem. It's a form that nobody can say, hey, United States, why you do so? Because it's inside documents, inside negotiations, and Israel cannot throw such a grenade publicly. But it's happening on numerous types of ammunition that tie Israeli hands. Look at this. How long did it take? Biden to provide Ukrainian with F-16? That is at least almost 2.5 years. Yes.
Yeah, but that included pilot training and such. It wasn't immediate for different reasons.
They were already, I don't want to go into, I said it 3 years ago. Yeah. There is a Secretary for War Airplanes in Arizona and several other states where those F-15, F-16, F-15 and Warhawk, it's a airplane that is good against the armor, tanks, cannons, and simply foot soldiers. Those three types were there already to be simply decayed and destroyed, or maybe left for some spare parts if somebody ever will need some of those. So United States had them and didn't deliver for 3 years. It was before the invasion of Russia. They were already at that cemetery, and I have the number somewhere, but
yeah, okay.
In any case, so this shape of a conflict that United States tries to obtain the utmost, reshape the Middle East, United States, as usual, erred so much, and the Americans are really so, especially State Department, partially even in the Pentagon, they don't comprehend the essence of this conflict. Although the essence of this conflict is based on a conclusion by a British foreign secretary in 1946, Bevin, who said Arabs don't want their own state. They don't want the Jewish state in this area. Period. Exclamation mark. No question whatsoever. And this is the essence. As a matter of fact, I was listening to a lecture A very, very intellectual analysis of the uh, Israeli poli, polity, and he was once completely on this left side. He recalls it when his mother told him, "Hey, Begin won." It was 1977. He sat on the floor and cried. He said so. He cried. He thought it was the end of the world, what will happen. Now, now he went from the extreme left to mild, very mild conservative right, And it is interesting how he views this. Once again, it's a lecture in Hebrew. Maybe it should be translated and could be done something about this. So, what happened now? So, Kamala Harris also stated something very, very unusual recently. She said, and repeated what she said before, said there are too many civil casualties. Now, I must confess, I'm viewing her, in my eyes, I must say, she is an empty suit, with the best that I can tell you. She's an empty suit. She went to a school special for blacks, Howard University. I'm familiar with that school. I'm familiar with a graduate, somebody who did even a PhD, a white person, and somebody is familiar with the atmosphere and the level of it. It was not very far from the crowds that I'm familiar. Well, went to the two top-notch schools in graduate schools in the United States, Harvard and Columbia, not to mention Brandeis. So I'm familiar. So I decided to check about Kamala. Well, maybe we'll come to this later. But Kamala said it. But my question to her would be, she said they killed too disproportionately. First of all, those statistics are based on the
Hamas reported numbers
of Hamas. Who tells how many civilians were killed? Not the Israelis. Hamas tells it. And Hamas manipulates the numbers as they wish. Big deal. When they kill at will and murder and rape and doing such a thing, so of course. Now, the question is still her position. Her position is not, she is not a person who reads books, studied books, and continues, Therefore, I checked a little bit into her law school. All right, I will say it now, though I thought I will talk about Kamala later. I can say about the Kamala and her that she graduated from the U.S. Hastings, California. Today is a state university of California. And she graduated in 1989. And the accent was there of practical experience. I don't know how much serious, top-notch legal scholarly were presented there. The school ranks 82nd among all U.S. law schools. Total number of U.S. law schools is 197. I tried very hard to find the rank. Usually in those schools, they rate the graduates. And first, second, 15th, you understand?
Yeah.
That's it. That's what the problem, by the way, with President Biden, who claimed he was on the top of his class. He was far, far down from being at the top. So, but number of Kamala, as much as I tried on, sure, somewhere I will try again to search the internet somewhere, because this is always a kind of a number. If on the top, if you are in the middle, you could say in the middle or could say in the bottom, but something, but nothing was stated I could find on the internet. And she is not a person who grabs a book of history, of World War II history. Never, I can swear. Though she, and at the undergraduate, her major was political science and economics. It's amazing. But economics, BA in economics in the United States, in a college that is, I don't know, 150 below. So
she's in a stark contrast to Obama. No, Obama went to University of Chicago.
Yeah, well, of course, Obama went to Harvard. Trump went to University of Pennsylvania, though he had it in two stages. The first 2 years he studied here in New York, this Catholic University at the Lincoln Center, and the second 2 years. Speaking about this element, who gave the best lesson in the autobiography of Trump? When he was in University of Pennsylvania, they bought in Cleveland, I believe, a kind of middle income complex of apartments, and he was running for his father. He would drive from Pennsylvania to Cleveland and manage. And he was the novice, of course. He had some second-hand experience working with his father, but not real. So one of the fellows who was running a similar establishment also in Cleveland gave him the real life lessons. So he was, in a way, became an apotropos, and Trump was kind of a different world. Why was it a different world? Because the fellow was a newcomer, a greener, as I say, spoke broken English with an accent, and had his hand tattooed by SS. And he gave him several lessons and actually told him, sell this property, otherwise you will lose money. What's going to happen very soon, you will lose money. Trump did it. They saved their money. They had some profit. But what happened thereafter, it was a disaster if this would have been done 6 months later. So in a way, Trump got his lessons not only at that particular. By the way, he entered the school. It's not the business school. It was a BA. There was some BA majoring. You could major, and they were majoring in business. So Trump had 2 years in Manhattan, and then the last 2 years at the University of Pennsylvania, business school, and Wharton, but it was not precisely Wharton, because Wharton, I think it's only a graduate school. All right, I will not confuse you without academic subtleties, but in any case, it was the first year that the business school at University of Pennsylvania had a kind of a major in business of real estate. Do you hear? So he really, from the beginning, he was really into the nitty-gritty of this. It was not economics, because economics, in the United States, nobody hires you with a BA in economics, because I was shocked. Actually, I learned the low level of US degree in economics from a guy whom I met in Berlin, West Berlin, and who, in a way, was kind of studying economics in West Berlin University. So I told him, but you have already a BA, so you are in advance? No, he said. In Europe, the US BA in economics is is regarded as Gurnish mit Gurnish, nothing with nothing. Absolutely. I was shocked, how could it be? I don't remember which college. Maybe he went to a local college. I don't know. But
Okay,
still,
that's
he had to
fine.
be. So let's go back as we were talking about the Netanyahu. So
By the way, before you continue, Ivanka Trump and her husband, Kushner, also went to the same university.
To which one?
Sorry, I'm talking about the University of Pennsylvania, which he attended later.
No, well, as an undergraduate?
I believe so, yes.
Okay, because I know the law school he did at Harvard.
Okay.
And it also was a mixed program. It was kind of a law and management. That was not to be a lawyer, but to be a lawyer in real estate, because his father was in real estate. That's clear. So what happened today? So Kamala, once again, I will finish with Kamala. A person who equated ICE, immigration, this unit that actually catches illegals and sends them back abroad. Twice ICE, she said, they are equal to KKK, Ku Klux Klan. It was such an irresponsible equation of attorney general, of a senator, It's impossible. That is sometimes, you need a lakmus paper, and it's an acid or is it basic.
Litmus paper.
Yeah. So the same thing with this. I can hear and I can feel the depth or the absence of the depth in her communication, in her analysis, in her argumentation. You can feel it's flat. It's very, very flat. And it's amazing because she didn't have, and her father was an economist, and I think he's still alive. And though she didn't live with him, but he didn't take kind of teaching her, guiding her. There was some, because she lived with her mother in the United States and in Montreal and back. So it seems to me the relationship with her father were very, very weak, if at all. And therefore, there was not an input from a professor of economics. Yes, very lefty as well, but at least he could have guided her to be more scholarly. And this did not happen. And today, therefore, she answered this question. You remember when she said, have you been to the border? I said, no. Have you been to the border? No. Have you been to the border? Yes. She said, yeah, but in Europe, I also never visited Europe. You understand?
Yes. That's a famous blunder.
Requires a certain tonnage of nonsense in the head to reply it, How could she? She should gone to the Golden Gate Bridge and jump from there to say such a stupid answer. And it is Vice President of the United States. Do you understand? Certain, you might not know, you might forget, but you don't say nonsense, which in a way you're bill marked forever if you say such things. In any case, this one and I just final number I would say. Kamala said, "Oh, there were too many civil." You know what I would ask her? Dear Kamala, you know about the D-Day? Sure, she saw the movie. She never read books about no memoirs, no nothing. However, I said, do you know that the Allies in the United States bombed the Germans in France? Yeah, I would ask her, do you know how many Frenchmen were killed by U.S. bombing in France? 19,000. 19,000 Frenchmen were killed by US bombs. So, and she talk about the collateral damage that was in Iraq, in Afghanistan, you know. She had not a clue in this realistic historical things. She picks up and she doesn't stay. At least she would say a number. Okay, somebody got her a wrong number and she repeats it. But she says disproportional, you know. And the entire thing of her thinking, of analysis, and presenting, therefore she is completely and absolutely empty shell with all those repetitive slogans, you know. We are building for the future and they're building for the past, you know. Is a person with such, you know, some gravity. From 89, she is practicing law, attorney at San Francisco, attorney general of the state, senator, you know, 8 years. How could she be so, I don't want to use the word, disrespectful, but completely. And I'm just waiting. No, she will not debate. Well, she will debate Trump, but not. I thought for a moment this Vance. Vance would make it. Trump with a hammer. Trump has a sledgehammer, and he will nail her. But I think interesting would be if they will have a round mixing, you know, like in a square dancing, exchanging, you know, a president debates vice president and vice versa. So if Vance would have argued or presented the case against her, it would have been wonderful because he has a strategic thinking. He knows 3, 4 moves in ahead when how he is going to reply. First of all, remove the total. Usually, they know the ball. Why did you, you know, attack? Why do you beat your sister? Regardless, he has a sister or not. So, but I analyze his replies. Amazing. It's amazing how he's a chess player. I don't know if he plays chess, but as a good lawyer, you have to be also a chess player because, A, you never ask a question to which you don't have an answer, you know, and B, you never go straight forward to be an obvious. You have to be there to pause and reply in unexpected, even soft. You don't have to kill or overkill. The mere thing, you move the question total, you know, kind of a between the eye questions aside, you neutralized it, and then you go with your version of logics, really breaking the asked question to tidbits and clean the table for the next one. So, but let me go back to what happened with Israel today. First of all, I know from my sources, first source, you know, when Israel left Gaza in 2005, Israel intelligence had maps of all tunnels that Hamas, it was not yet Hamas, I think. It was the Palestinian Authority. Later on, they lost the election, and Hamas, as you know, murdered them all and threw them from the roofs of the buildings. However, there was the entire list of all tunnels that were then in 2005, 20 years ago. So 20 years ago, Israel knew what they are doing and the purpose, but they still were naive because there is naivete built in, naivete which is built on the notion that even your enemy has a heart has a conscience, and he's manageable. It's to say that you're surrounded by enemies who want nothing but to kill you. It's a very, very heavy psychological burden. So many Israelis were thought maybe we can somehow, maybe we can create a clash between the religious Hamas and the military Palestinian organization, that was governed by Arafat and nowadays by the present president of the Organization of Palestinian Authority. So there was, and then of course there are many stations, I will not go. This psychological perception, the value, it's something, this is what Kamala Harris says. I kept my values, I don't want to be rude, but it's to ask a woman, middle-aged woman, are you still a virgin? So she says, her reply would be yes, but I kept my values. So please forgive me that I just came out.
It's okay.
I can erase it, leave it, let it be. Those questions are, because it's a very, very empty slogan that she repeats. Now what's going on when she reverses itself and copies shamelessly from the what Trump suggests, and in 2-3 weeks it's her idea.
It speaks to the lack of candidates, heavyweight candidates who could defeat Trump on part of Democrats.
No. There are plenty. Listen, why couldn't they give it to Hillary?
So why? That's the question.
You know why?
Because she is the vice president. Because she's acting vice president. But is this reason enough to give her? I'm not. It's hard to understand.
They created, the Democratic Party created a golem, which also tries to beat, because they are locked in, because she was forced upon Biden. Biden's choice, he said before the election, his vice president will be colored woman. This was he already limit himself. Now, when he is off, and everything from the beginning, they could have, and maybe Hillary tried. Why not? Finally, third round, give her some nachas. In any case, she will lose, but at least it will be very, very interesting. Second round between Trump and Hillary. But you don't have to buy a ticket to Coliseum. We would have, what a show, what a political show we would have. We wouldn't feel even the heat. So in any case, back to Bibi. Bibi said the following thing, said, as I said, he agreed with everything, and it was not enough, and Biden said it was not. However, he also repeated that things that they found a handwritten note in Gaza some 7-8 months ago, and this was written there. Flash the videos of daily on all Israeli TVs and internet of psychological pressure. And daily, so there should be a debate and disagreement and all the things because of that. Then Press Galant, he went to, and they had these 3 additional points specifically. Press Galant, that is, you are not a military, you are not good. Try to create a clash in the Israeli government. Then Bibi, responsible. Bibi is responsible. You see, that idea, not that Israeli needed, they were already were anti-Bibi for full year already before October 7. But again, he realized how to split the Israeli society. And the second and the last one is undermine the Israeli narrative. The action above the ground will bring the result for the underground. That is, this will break the Hamas. The action on the ground will not affect Hamas. That was the point. So, with this together, Bibi said, of course, we will have a committee, we will have everything, but not during the war. During the war, there will be on the fifth front. That is 4 fronts versus Arabs, Hezbollah, Hamas, West Bank, Iran, Houthis, and in addition, parallel, there will be a committee which will decide who is more responsible, who is less responsible, And this, he said, we will not. And one more thing that Israeli society cannot comprehend, and military as well. Forget about the society. But top generals said it's not a problem to have to leave Gaza for 42 days and come later. It doesn't work. It does not work. It didn't work in 2005 when they left. There were 2 other military clashes with Hamas in Gaza, and the Israeli did some damage, left, nothing happened with this, you see. Therefore, this time, the idea unspoken to a degree is...
Ilya, can you hold on 1 second? Somebody is knocking. Give me 1 sec, sorry. Привет, не могу, у меня сейчас эфир, запись идет пацаны УАЗика. Я их после этого заберу, они ушли. Минут 15-20. Хорошо. My apologies.
Yes. So, Bibi said that he is responsible. To what degree he is more responsible than the others, we will check it by the special committee, government committee, not the government, state committee, because it has been already accepted. Not the government should check itself, but especially the Agranat in 74, after Yom Kippur War, etc. So that's what Bibi suggested, and this was the army, as I said, at this point leaked or stated that we were just going to catch them, but you didn't take the deal. You see, the deal is there are some elements, and with this I finish once again. It's the border with Egyptian, the southern border, what is called the Philadelphia Road. And there are huge tunnels, trucks can enter it. And to leave this, it's to supply the Hamas with new ammunition, with everything. At the same time, some people can leave, or the hostages can be taken to Sinai, send it to Yemen or to Iran. This is no solution whatsoever. Israel should remain forever the guardian of this Philadelphia road, which connects to
Egypt.
tens and tens of tunnels which provide the oxygen to Hamas. Oxygen, I mean not literally oxygen, but all that.
Ilya,
And
let me ask
was
you a quick
surprised.
question. Quick question. So Philadelphia road, it connects to Egyptian border. What is the position of Egypt? Couldn't Egypt actually disable the tunnels on their side?
Well, they don't have to disable. They're already under control of the Israelis. They will decide what to do with this, you see.
Yeah, but originally, the reason why the tunnels are there is because I'm guessing Egypt allowed it to happen. The tunnels went under the border.
Let me. I want to finish this. Look at this. First of all, to some degree, Hamas is a Muslim Brother organization. Muslim Brothers, as you know, were once, even before Sisi, they were the president of Muslim Brothers, and it's an end of civil regime in Egypt. They didn't, although it's now, kind of a semi-military, semi-civil, still, it's not under the control of the Muslim Brothers, said have an agenda, said have a political, uncompromising agenda. And Hamas is a part of the Muslim Brothers. So the point there, it should not, Israel should never allow to rely upon somebody else.
Yeah.
This Russian proverb, right? Чужими руками. If it's that important to you, do it yourself. Don't rely on UNRWA or UN, Security Council, or God knows good wishers from another neutral country.
Yeah,
you have to
Understood.
So this was a confrontational meeting today with Netanyahu, and he stated, look what happened to us. It happened. They murdered 6 of our citizens, and the prime minister is found as a guilty one in it. It is unbelievable, It is unbelievable how much many people, they have simply, they lost their skin, and where their nerves are exposed,
Right.
They're really, and therefore with many, although they're not, they reduced. The 7th of October, they were quite sizable minority. Now they became less, but they are absolutely psychologically close to any debate because they are sure that the devil, using this word, is in the Knesset, and it is the prime minister. If you go to the Israeli society and accuse the prime minister to be the devil against whom everything is allowed to do, including, it really, you see, it's a 10 times more what was stated against Trump in the United States,
Yeah.
But it's enough. You poison the minds. When you poison minds, of several thousand and many thousand people, that would be a crazy guy who will take his rifle and.
Ilya, the animosity against Netanyahu is not just Gallant's expressing himself.
Not.
There is the entire establishment stands behind him, or it sounds like it.
The establishment of the army. No, establishment of the army, the establishment of the military intelligence, Amman, this kind of, and of course, look at this, as I mentioned, the chief of staff, Israeli chief of staff, or he is resigning now, supposed to resign. However, he wants to fill in the next level of the generals. That is, his people said he commanded them. He wants that they will be the next generations of this level from which next chief of staff will be selected. You understand? How dare he? He is guilty, I would say, number one, what happened on October. By their own statements. By their own statements that they gave to Netanyahu. I'll repeat it for the next time, but it said both the army and the intelligence and the internal intelligence Shabak, they said Hamas is deterred. Not simply deterred for the next 5 years. It was said in a week, less than a week before October 7, 2023. You understand? More than that, even the head of Israeli Security Council under the Prime Minister Netanyahu says, no, the Hamas is deterred for 15 years. You understand? They were drinking Kool-Aid. And they, and therefore, when all of them, even his loyal servant, always forgetting his name. He is the son of Geula Cohen, I think I told you, the hero of 48, War of 48, etc. I forgot his name, but he was also already drunk with this. Who can do it 15 years? How can you say? What kind of information you have? Unless everybody, all the generals of Hamas are on the take from Israeli intelligence service, how could you say that? Okay, on that. Not
yeah,
so
you were talking about Amir Baram just now. The deputy chief of general staff, Amir Baram.
Yes. Well, I don't know precisely to which statement you refer. I cannot add to this. But the meeting was with the Prime Minister, his National Security Office, and those three people that were intelligence services. They knew, and they did, and more than that, and they didn't act. When they said, they could have said, move 2 tanks and 2 airplanes. We're in trouble. They didn't do it. The system also caved in. But it's all, not for us political scientists that we don't have full information. It's for a committee that will be a state committee, not a governmental committee, that they will decide who made the major errors, who did not command and move the forces. They could have said it even 2 hours before. 2 hours before it was known already.
Got it. All right.
Okay.
Thank you, Ilya.
On this, yes, thank you. Spit and polish. Oh, I forgot to mention something about Kamala. It reminds me, spit and polish, British. Kamala reminds me, one of my first, you can put it. Kamala reminds me of a lecture I had. When was it? 50 years ago, 64, 65. 50 years ago. No, 50. Yeah, more. 64. Yeah. In any case, this was I remember the name of a professor. He was teaching Soviet politics, Leon Boym, Dr. Leon Boym. And and because I was thinking about spit and polish, so two things. He showed us how the Soviet system functions, Soviet system functions within the fire, huge fire. There are several fire trucks are waiting, etc. And the commissar comes out and gives the 2-hour lecture how to fight against the fire, you know this remind me the mentality of Kamala Harris. The other one, just for the sake on a cheerful note, I remember even a joke that he said. Leon Boym was from Poland. He was saying the joke, but maybe could touched him. Upon arriving to Great Britain, they asked him, "What's your purpose?" He says, "I would like to polish my English." And the British clerk raised his eyebrows and said, "But your English is Polish enough."
Nice. Great. Okay.
Cheers.
Cheers.
Bye
Thank
bye.
you, Ilya. Bye.